Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chad Thomas II. I'm a senior IT student here at North Carolina A&T, and I'm here to give you an introduction and talk a little bit about Git version control and GitHub. So, what is well? First, let's kind of separate the two things. So, there are two things we're talking about here: Git and GitHub. And if you've been in software development or know anything about software development, you've probably heard of these two terms and probably have correlated them or thought they were the same kind of thing or something like that, right? What I want to kind of get across in this video and getting an understanding of is that Git and GitHub are two separate things. So let's start with the first thing, Git. Git is what's called version control, right? So let's actually present the problem that Git solves. So Git's a software, right? So let's say that I'm working on a project, right? And let's say I'm making like an HTML file, like a website or something. Let's say I make one file, right? And I'm adding all this stuff into the file, and I'm making really good progress, right? But I say I want to work on like another feature, or I want to work on like a newer version of the website, right? So I'll go ahead and I'll take the first file and I'll copy it, and I'll make like a file underscore 2, right? So that's the second version of the file, and I'll keep going and doing that over and over and over again, right, until I got up to version 5, right? So what Git does, one of the main features that it does is Git solves that issue by being able to you can just track all the changes and versions that you've done to a file or a project, sorry, over a long period of time. So say like I've got the file 1, file 2, file v3. No longer do I have to make like all those files and keep track of it. All I have to do is use Git, and it'll keep track of it for me, right? So that's one of the main features of Git, right? Is you can track your project history, and life cycle, right? So one of the second main features that Git offers is you're able to do collaboration with it. So more than one person is able to work on a file at the same time, right? So if you're in any type of corporate environment or you're doing work in software development, usually you'll be working on a team, and everybody will have different, roles, like they'll be a front-end engineer, back-end engineer, right? Maybe multiple graphic designers, whatever, right? In order to sufficiently, use your time, everybody's got to be working on the same file. Everybody's got to be able to have the most up-to-date files and be able to work on and know which changes have taken place and what's going on in the project, right? So what Git offers is a way for everybody to work on the same file or work on the same project. Right? Everybody can work on the same project, and also everybody can always have the latest changes to the project. Everybody can always have the most up-to-date logs or records, and everybody can understand all the branches and what everybody's doing within the project. So those are this is why you would use Git. Git is just a software that runs within your project that helps you do version control things like this. There's many different types of version control, but Git's probably the most popular. Now we'll move on to what GitHub is. So GitHub is, well, first let me introduce a new vocabulary word into our little thing here. So I'm going to introduce this word repository, right? And I'll call it a repo for short. So what a repository is or a repo is, you can think of it as just the file that your project is in, right? So say I'm working on a project and I've got a bunch of HTML, JavaScript files, CSS files, and everything that's included in that project is my repository, my repo. So what GitHub is it's a collection of repositories. It also has a couple more cool things, but how Git and GitHub kind of interacts together is GitHub is a way to manage all of these repositories, right? And manage what's going on with Git. So you can manage all your repositories, and you can kind of you can manage repositories. You can manage your whole project from it. And as you'll see when we kind of work in the demo and the run through of GitHub, we'll get a little bit more information about it. But you can manage your repositories. You can track, all your branches, who's working on the project. You could do cool things like cloning and forking and pull requests, and those are kind of things we'll get into as we move forward. Right? But that's really the difference in between the two. Is Git is the software that runs to help you do version control, right? To manage what's going on with your project, and GitHub is where all of your repositories live, and you can kind of control what's going on. It's a way to interact with Git. So that's just a quick intro into Git and GitHub, and we'll learn more about each one when we actually get in here and do some more stuff. So.